one thing I didn't mention when we were talking about our low blows is how much I did not like Mandy Rose up until recently.
Yeah, Mandy Rose now, she's I think Mandy Rose is starting to find her footing on the main roster.
And I think what it took was this feud between her and Sonya Deville. It's this that's really kind of turned me on to liking her because I did not like Mandy Rose. And honestly, I will say this. I think a big part of that was how much Corey Graves obsessed over her on commentary. I didn't want to hear anymore. So like every time I
It,
saw Mandy Rose coming, I was like, "Oh my god, Corey Graves is not going to shut up."
isn't he dating Carmella?
I don't know.
By the way, you know that pool scene with Otis and Mandy?
That was great.
You know where that was actually filmed at?
Where?
Zack Ryder's pool.
Really?
Yep.
That's hilarious.
He's not. They fired him, and yet they're like, "Hey, can we use your pool?" Fuck you.
Dick move.
Yeah.
So how about your favorites in NXT/NXT UK?
NXT overall. Oh my god. Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh my god, yeah.
With an honorable mention going to Adam Cole, Keith Lee, Drake Maverick.
Oh, bless his heart.
Yeah.
I know. I just rewatched.
I know they turned that situation kind of in a bad situation. I mean, kind of awkward, but I'm happy that he does have his job back.
Yeah. I rewatched that episode of NXT where he had that match with El Hijo del Fantasma, and I felt so bad for him when he lost, but I had a huge smile on my face when Triple H came out with that contract. Bless him.
Bless him indeed. NXT UK, Pete Dunne, baby.
Oh yeah.
With honorable mentions going to Mustache Mountain and Jordan Devlin.
Okay.
And as for the ladies, Io Shirai.
Your new NXT Women's Champion.
Fuck yeah! Woo! With
I
honorable mentions going to.
Did not expect that.
Yeah. I was hoping that would happen. With honorable mentions going to Rhea Ripley, Candice LeRae, and Dakota Kai. And my favorite in NXT UK is Toni Storm. And I was going to say Rhea Ripley there, but she's in main NXT, so I haven't really caught up with NXT UK in a while, so yeah.
Yeah. The only other NXT UK women that I can think of are Piper Niven and Kaylee Ray. I think my favorite in NXT is Keith Lee.
Bask in his glory.
Don't gotta tell me twice. The fact that he's like super attractive is, just its own subject. But he is also a phenomenal wrestler, and I love watching him wrestle because no man that size should ever move like he does. Dude sold a second rope Canadian destroyer, and he's like 3 times anyone's size. Honorable mentions for sure: Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. Now that after seeing his match with Ciampa at Takeover this last Sunday, I am really into Karrion Kross,
formerly known as Killer Kross.
And I didn't really see much of him as Killer Kross. I knew he existed, but I didn't really know much about him, and he is kind of terrifying.
Karrion Kross has one of the best intros right now.
Oh, for sure.
One of the best entrances ever.
I don't know if I mentioned him, but Adam Cole.
Baby.
NXT women, my favorite NXT woman is kind of an out there pick, honestly, but it's Xia Li. Ooh. I love her so much. And she's a great wrestler, and I love watching her perform. But what really what really got me into liking Xia Li is when the WWE Performance Center YouTube channel put out a video of Matt Bloom and Serena Deeb telling the NXT women that were going to be in the 2019 Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
They had secretly filmed them to like get the reactions and stuff. And Xia Li's reaction was absolutely precious and adorable, and I just want to give her the biggest hug all the time.
Oh,
Yeah, she was like cheering, and then she started like crying of happiness, and it's precious. Um, so honorable mentions. I God, I would say Bianca Belair, but they moved her up to main roster and then she's disappeared. But I have to mention how much I love Bianca Belair.
yeah. What? I
Um,
haven't even
uh-huh.
seen Bianca Belair in a while. What happened to her?
I don't know. She had one match and then one promo, and now she's just vamoose. So bring back Bianca Belair.
Weird.
uh, I really like Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae. And I'm drawing a blank on literally everybody else. So we'll just move on from there.
I okay.
And I'll mention one person from NXT UK that I like, and that is Ligero, because
Alligator. Yeah.
he's got a really cool mask.
It's an interesting mask. I'm not really. I'm not too big on the horns, honestly. They're a bit too tacky for my liking.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now we are moving on to the world of all elite wrestling.
Which I mean, I definitely pretty much goes without saying that AEW is Felix and I's favorite promotion. um,
I got burnt too many times by WWE, especially when Brock won the Money in the Bank. I was like officially done with WWE after that.
that was so upsetting.
I'll leave the whole WWE stuff to you. That doesn't mean I still don't keep up with it. I mostly keep up with it through channels like Wrestle Talk and Cultaholic.
Yeah, but yeah, AEW, they just, at first they were just, really refreshing to see, just because now there's like the new kid on the block, and it's been the only first major televised other choice, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
since TNA, which they kind of folded on TV back in like the early 2010s.
Yeah,
But aside from that, AEW is just really fucking good.
it really is.
Like they don't have much problem with their storytelling. All of their talent are phenomenal, and it's not over. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think it's too oversaturated with former. Oh, blah, blah. I don't think it's too oversaturated with former WWE people.
I don't think
They've
so
got
either.
they've got a good mix of former WWE and up and coming stars from the indies.
Mm-hmm.
So and
Nice
every
blend.
yeah, and everyone is just so talented, and they really seem to focus on making new stars and doing it in a way that actually makes them look like stars, instead of making them strong for a little bit and then burying them the next day.
Like, say for instance, Alan Angels,
Yeah,
aka Five.
yeah. He just had his first victory on AEW, in AEW Dark, today, and we're recording this on Tuesday, June 9th. So he had a match against Lee Johnson on AEW Dark, and he looked really good. And it was his first victory, which means it's his first match as an official AEW roster member.
That make
And that all, mhm.
Sorry, go
and
ahead.
that all started from this COVID show era of them pulling from local talent from wherever they were at, just to fill in for um, as fill-in opponents for their main roster people. But they saw something really special in Allen Angels,
I'm
and they signed him just like that.
I'm glad they did because Alan's had an incredible match with Ray Phoenix
Hmm.
on Dark a while back.
And
Like,
then
he won me over with that one.
yeah, the match with Ray Phoenix, and then before that, he had a great match with Kenny Omega.
Oh, you're right. He did.
So his so even though even though he lost in the match, he really showed what he could do, and he showed that he can really hang in the ring with some of the best. And AEW saw that, and they wanted to push him as as a true roster member, and I really appreciate that.
Speaking of the best, who are your favorite AEW wrestlers, male and female?
Well, as far as the male go, let me say my honorable mentions. I love, there's so many that I just love so much. Everybody in the inner circle, everybody in the elite. Colt Cabana makes me laugh. Orange Cassidy is a legend in the making.
He's a draw. He's an absolute draw.
Hmm.
One of the funniest wrestlers, in my opinion.
For sure. You gotta love Matt Hardy. I've always loved Matt Hardy. Um,
He was one of
and
my favorite wrestlers growing up.
I could go on and on and on and on, but my absolute favorite in AEW right now is Sonny Kiss because, and there are several reasons why I love him. I love the fact that an openly gay wrestler is being represented in a major promotion like this, and he was one of their very first signees, which I thought was super huge. He's a phenomenal in-ring performer. He does things that I couldn't do in my dizziest daydreams.
Mm-mm.
Um, he has got a whole lot of in-ring charisma, and there's probably some other fourth thing that I am not thinking of right now. But yes, I love Sunny Kiss, and I hope that he gets a big push soon. He's been doing really well on AEW Dark, but and actually he just had a really great match tonight with Christopher Daniels.
He did. It was very good. I'm a little
Yeah,
sad he lost, but
yeah, I mean, I am upset that he lost. Not too upset because of how much Chris Daniels put him over in that match.
that's another
Like,
thing about AEW is they know how to put people over, even in defeat.
hmm like they don't do squash matches a whole lot. The only times that they really do squashes are when it comes to people that you expect to just squash opponents, like Brian Cage, Wardlow, Brody Lee, and Nyla Rose. Like you expect
Lance
them
Archer.
to Lance Archer, exactly. You expect them to just run through opponents. But even if they're using local talent for other wrestlers, they actually have like solid matches.
Mm-hmm.
E- Even this match that John Moxley had with, oh, I can't remember his name, but it was it was a local wrestler, and it was like a 15-minute long match, and it had a couple of really close calls to where John Moxley almost lost. So yeah, Sunny Kiss is my favorite male wrestler. But their entire roster is just phenomenal. My favorite women's wrestler is Nyla Rose, bar none. But I also love Britt Baker and Sheeta and Big Swole. Very love Big Swole, and I really like
Big Swole.
I really liked Rio, and I think that they're starting to find their footing a little bit with their women's division. It was definitely a little bit rocky starting out, but after the past couple of weeks, especially with Nyla Rose versus Hikaru Shida at Double or Nothing, they're really starting to step in with their women's division.
The best women's wrestling match so far.
But absolutely, hands down.
Both of
And
those women are absolutely phenomenal.
hmm and I did not expect that match to be as good as it was. All right, now it is your turn.
For the males, we have the Elite, the Inner Circle, Sunny Kiss, Colt Boom Boom Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Pac, the Lucha Bros, and so many others I could name. The bad boy Joey Janela, Super Bad Kip Sabian, so many others.
So many. It's like there. It's like I don't
Alan
think there's a.
Angels. Yeah,
Yeah,
Alan Angels, who finally got
I don't.
signed. Yay.
I don't think that there's a bad apple on that roster.
Nope. But if I had to pick one, I know it's a kind of a cop out, but he's honestly been my favorite for a long time, and I don't care. Kenny frickin' Omega.
And I I owe so much to All Elite Wrestling because like I knew about Kenny Omega, but I never really had the chance to see what he can do up until AEW got onto TV and I could finally start watching Kenny Omega wrestle. And oh my god, he is phenomenal.
His matches with Okada are stuff of legend. 7 stars. I mean, I know Dave Meltzer is a bit. I don't want. I don't want to say Dave Meltzer is biased, but he likes his Japanese wrestling.
I mean, I feel like to most of the world, Japanese wrestling is kind of slept on, even though it's always been really great.
Yeah, and but we'll get to all the New Japan stuff in a little bit. Oh, and I love the fact that Kenny's moves are based on video games,
Oh, absolutely.
like the One Winged Angel, the V Trigger.
The Katara Crusher.
Oh yes, but now let's move on to the ladies. Nyla Rose is very good, so, along with Britt Baker. Big Swole is my second favorite. Riho's really good, but my absolute favorite, Hikaru Shida.
When she won the AEW Women's title, I could physically feel you screaming through my computer screen.
Yep, I was. I'm not gonna lie, I was actually kind of tearing up when that happened.
Yeah, and honestly, like I was pulling for Nyla Rose just because she is my favorite. But after that match that they had, excuse me, after that match that they had, like I wasn't even remotely upset that Sheeta won because I felt like I was lucky to have seen that match in real time.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention MJF. Was also really. He's like the best heel in wrestling. Period.
He really is, and
The salt of the
as
earth.
as much as I want to like hate him, I literally can't bring myself to hate him because he's so good at what he does.
He's hard to
And
hate, but harder to love.
yeah, and on top of that, he is a damn good wrestler.
He really is. He's a future world champion. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And the Cheese 154 with a bunch of sleepy emotes. That
I
that's
I feel
that's my mood right now.
yeah, I feel that. Alrighty. So let's move on to other Japan. Let's move on to Japan.
Yep, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Pro Wrestling. God.
See, I am, and I feel bad, but I am so like so out of the loop with Japan because the only Japanese wrestler that and he's not even Japanese, but the only wrestler in Japan that I am remotely familiar with is Will
Will Ospreay.
Ospreay.
Yep.
And and he is a phenomenal wrestler in his own right. Um, but yeah, he's the only one I know and have actually seen a couple matches of.
I see his match with Lance Archer was phenomenal, as well as his match with Jeff Cobb. He's actually trying to move up to the heavyweight division, which I feel is a right call. He definitely can't do all the same moves as he used to now that he's and he's a little bigger than he was. Mostly bigger in muscle, anyway.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorites in Japan?
It's hard to name any favorites, even honorable mentions, because all of them are phenomenal. But if you had to twist my arm and make me choose one, Kota Ibushi.
I don't think I've seen him wrestle, but anytime like I go onto YouTube and I watch lists of like, oh, the 10 greatest wrestlers right now in the world, Kota Ibushi is always on the list, and he's always really high on the list.
That one freaking match with Tetsuya Naito, like, how the hell are you two still alive? You crazy sons of bitches! What's wrong with you?
Some other wrestlers that I know of in Japan, and it's mainly because his entire gimmick is ripped off of my favorite wrestler of all time. But Ryota Hama from I think he's in Big Japan Wrestling.
All Japan, all Japan Pro Wrestling, or just
It's
or Big Japan, or is it just Big Japan?
I think it's Big Japan because it's BJW is the acronym
Ah,
for it.
okay, okay.
But yeah, Ryota Hama is essentially today's Rikishi, like same ring gear and everything. And we'll get into Rikishi in a second, but yeah. So I like watching Ryota Hama, but aside from him and Will Ospreay, I don't really know much about anything in Japan. If I had to pick one female Japanese wrestler that I absolutely love, it's Aja Kong.
Aja Kong, nice. If I had to pick a female wrestler, it'd be that's wrestling in Japan. It's B Priestley,
B Priestley, yeah.
who's actually girlfriends. I mean, he's actually the girlfriend of Will Ospreay.
Go figure.
But
Um,
unfortunately, I haven't really paid much attention to companies like Stardom or anything. Um,
yeah,
most other than the recent passing of Hana Kimura. Yeah, rest her
bless her
soul.
heart.
Yeah. Also, please be nice to each other. Please be
hmm
nicer. Also, rest in peace to Shad Gaspard.
Yes. Um, is there any? Are there any other wrestlers that you like in various other promotions that you want to talk about?
I want to give a shout out to the tag team known as The End, featuring Odinson and an openly gay Pero. So they're a really solid tag team from All Japan. I highly
That's
recommend them.
cool.
Also,
I
also there's Effie.
yes, gotta love Effie.
Yep.
um, I have to give the biggest shout out to one of my favorite YouTube personalities who has quickly become one of my favorite wrestlers, and that is Simon Miller.
Why?
Here's why.
Here's why.
I anytime that I miss a wrestling show, the first thing I do is I tune into Ups and Downs to make sure that I am up to date. And he is really taken to wrestling really well. So I think he could be a really big name in the business one day.
Yep. I really gives me hope that one day I'll make it into the business someday.
You know you will.
Like for those who don't know, I'm wanting to train to be a pro wrestler, but I'm hoping to start my training after the quarantine is over.
hmm Other wrestlers I really like. I have to give shout outs to our fellow furry fandom uh, in the business. Big Cat Scott Henson. He is a really great wrestler in his own right, as well as Timberwolf and Mr. Cat out in England.
Nice. Oh,
hmm
we can't forget the villain, Marty Skrull.
Marty Skrull. Yeah, now that's a name I've definitely heard, but I haven't seen much of Marty Skrull.
I've met Marty Skrull. He is one of the coolest.
That's awesome. Then of course, Jeff Cobb is a beast.
Full on fucking boss.
hmm Uh, I'm sure there's so many more that I can't think of that I. Oh, Dustin Thomas, the wrestler who literally wrestles despite the fact that he has zero legs.
Oh yeah, he was in the first Double or Nothing.
He was in the first Casino Battle Royal. Yeah, he is super cool. And that's all I got from there.
Excellent.
So now I guess we get to talk about our favorites of all time.
Yep. Let's start with the ladies first.
Honestly, I think my all-time favorite women's wrestler is Asuka.
Ooh, going with the
hmm
current one. Nice.
Yeah, honestly, and I think it's just because, and it's not fair to the women's wrestlers of old, but like up until until like the mid 2010s, women's wrestlers were not given the chance to shine like they should have. So I can't really I don't really aside from maybe Mickey James and Trish Stratus who were and Lita
Hmm.
who I and China. So Trish Stratus, Mickey James, Lita, China, Jacqueline. Those five are the only ones that come to mind who were treated like legitimate wrestlers back in that era. But nowadays, like throughout everything, I just think Asuka is the greatest female wrestler of all time.
Excellent.
Who is your favorite all-time female?
My favorite was Gail Kim.
Oh, bless her. I love Gail Kim.
In fact, Impact started the women's revolution of wrestling pretty early on in the mid to late 2000s. Like
Mm-hmm.
the women's revolution started there before it came to WWE. There were there were a lot of really good women's wrestling. Like Roxy Laveau was really good. ODB was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I remember her. Tara.
Yes, actually, Tara was Victoria in
Yeah, I remember Victoria. Yeah.
yeah, same person.
The beautiful people.
Yep. Angelina Love and Velvet Sky. Velvet Sky being married to Bubba Ray Dudley.
But yes, Gail Kim was a really great wrestler. As far as my all-time favorite male wrestler, as I said it before, it's Rikishi. Um, so for me, my entire life I've been pretty overweight, and whenever you grow up big, you know, everyone tells you that like you can't be able to do anything because you're so big. But after I discovered Rikishi, seeing someone of his size move the way he did and be on top the way he was, like it really kind of shattered all those prejudices in my head that people had always told me. So from that point, Rikishi became my all-time favorite. Not to mention the stink face was the funniest thing I'd ever seen.
Both he and Sonny Kiss having the best asses in wrestling.
Amen.
And my favorite of all time, as I mentioned earlier, is the rated R superstar Edge. And that whole rock star persona with the long hair, the long trench coat, and the fireworks. That was the moment where I was like, I want to be that when I grow up. Like, I want to be a pro wrestler.
Hmm.
It's only taken me this long to actually try to start my training, unfortunately. 10
Better
years,
late than never.
13 goddamn years later. Damn it. I am slow as shit.
Eh.
But from what everyone tells me, whenever I ask the same question, do you think I might have missed out on starting my training at a younger age? People tell me no. They always say the same thing because a lot of older folks became big during their older ages. Like the biggest example, Diamond Dallas Page.
Hmm.
That does give me hope, but at the same time, I'm really disappointed in myself that I didn't start earlier.
You shouldn't beat yourself too much of it because at least you're still pushing for it.
Hmm.
So I commend you. I think you're going to do really great with your training, and you are going to be a really great wrestler.
Thank you. I hope that comes true.
I have a good feeling it will.
Yeah, but I hope you become an amazing referee, or hell, maybe you might become a great wrestling personality of the past. I mean, just like the past ones did, like the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
I think that would be a lot of fun. I thought about maybe being a commentator, but at least as far as commentating goes, I think my voice is too annoying. um, but I've also thought about being a manager. Being a manager seems like a lot of fun.
You could be my manager.
There you go. Boom, we're in this together.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and talk about our favorite matches since we've at this point we've almost been doing this for an hour and a half.
Yep. And since we've been mentioning it briefly that this Sunday is Backlash, aka
The greatest wrestling oh my god, I can't, I can't. Uh, listen, listen. It's not that I don't think it won't be the greatest. Actually, no, I do think it's not going to be the greatest match of all time because, first of all, like you said before, it's subjective.
mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, like that's setting a ridiculously high bar.
And yeah, there's the best the best Backlash show is like Backlash 2000, and nothing can top that one.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
the last few Backlashes sucked ass.
yeah, but even if we just take into account the like only matches that have happened in WWE, like because other promotions have had phenomenal matches.
Mm-hmm.
Bar none, the Stadium Stampede will be the greatest match of all time. Don't at me. You can't change my mind.
And
um,
why do you say that?
because it was everything that it should have been. Like even in a time where like you couldn't even have any fans in the ring, in the arena, it had the perfect amount of action. It had the perfect amount of tomfoolery. Um, it had great up and comers as well as bona fide legends in the ring. Chris Jericho can turn anything into gold, and I just want I don't even know I don't even know how to put it into words. I just love Chris Jericho. Um, but yeah, so,
We
so
still need to try a little bit of the bubbly.
we really do. We're gonna try we're gonna try a little bit of the bubbly at one point. Um, but yeah, so yeah, even if we were just taking into account the like only WWE matches, that's still a ridiculously high bar to set. And it's it's not like Edge and Orton can't put on a good match because they absolutely can. They've done it time and time again. They have really great in-ring chemistry, and I don't doubt that they are going to have a phenomenal match. But there is no way in hell that it's going to be called the greatest match of all time. And I feel like part of that is because that's how it's being billed.
Mm-hmm. But as much as I love the Stadium Stampede match, in my humble opinion, nothing, and I mean nothing, will ever top Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano, NXT Takeover New Orleans.
Oh
The
man, that
story,
was
the story leading up to it, and the match itself was just picture perfect wrestling, in my opinion.
and and my favorite WWE match is my favorite for that same reason. Just because I started watching wrestling after after the whole Champa and Gargano program was going on, so I didn't really get to see all that like in its entirety. But I have seen bits and pieces of that match, and of course, like they blew the roof off the place. But my all-time favorite WWE match will forever and always, and I say that because it's almost impossible to top. It will forever and always be Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25.
As opposed to WrestleMania 26.
Oh, whichever one was his retirement match.
Shawn Michaels, it was
Yes,
26.
that one. Yes, Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 26. That last one, it was almost picture perfect.
Yeah. Uh,
So,
all right. What's your favorite wrestling tag team match?
oh, the Bucks versus Hangman and Omega.
That my only real criticism for that match is it might have there might have been a few too many finishing kickouts.
Yeah, too many close calls.
Yeah,
I can understand that for sure, but
but
just
overall, yeah, that's still a great match.
like this, like the crispness of all the moves, all the story that was going on, even leading up to the match, it was really really great.
Yep. It's funny that I
And
say AEW is my favorite wrestling promotion right now, and yet all my favorite matches take place in all my almost all my favorite matches take place in WWE. My favorite tag team match came from No Mercy, 1999, Edge and Christian versus The Brood,
oh
aka
yeah,
Matt and Jeff Hardy. The it was a ladder match. And that set the bar for tag team wrestling so high. That was, to me, it's one of the greatest matches WWE has ever put on. Like easily 5 stars, and it's one of those matches I could go back and watch and never get tired of.
yeah.
There were so many really good spots. Edge and Christian were phenomenal. The Hardy brothers were phenomenal.
Like I said, I don't think that the match is going to be bad just because Edge and Randy Orton cannot have a bad match if they tried.
Well, except for Randy.
Yeah, yeah.
Randy, I find kind of boring.
um, I hate the way I hate the fact that they're billing it as the greatest wrestling match of all time.
I believe it will be the greatest wrestling match ever.
You shot the angle dead right there.
Yep.
Ugh, I can't I can't I can't.
Are they trying to make up for the fact that the match they had at WrestleMania was complete and utter bore fest?
I don't know. I mean, if it goes on equally as long, and I liked their match at WrestleMania. I thought, you know, and I think the main part of that was because they spent a really good amount of time building up to it in the weeks leading up to WrestleMania. But yeah,
The build up,
it went on and it went on entirely too long. But
it was more like it was less of a wrestling match and more like a tour of the performance center. Yeah, like
uh,
it just got so boring.
this is the backstage area. This is the drive-through,
This,
drive-through
this
garage. I don't know, fucking.
yeah, this is where wrestlers work out. Here are the locker rooms. We're destroying everything.
Oh
Here's
boy.
this hanging segment that's a bit awkward.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't like that.
That was poorly timed. Just
Mm.
went, considering that's how Benoit died the same way.
Hmm.
Fuck.
Oh man. But
Oh,
yeah, we'll see how it goes, and we'll be back on Thursday to talk about our predictions for Backlash.
all right.
Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
I think that might be it.
All right, cool beans. Well, that is all we have for you for this episode. Thank you guys ever so much for watching, and we will see you a little bit later on this week. But until then, I am Fab Fox,
I'm Felix Wolf.
and we'll see you next time on Low Blows and OwOs.
Bye bye.
Bye.